But I would take issue with like this the framing of saying, you're forcing someone to go through like 9 months of pregnancy. I think that's just what happens when someone becomes pregnant, like
Okay, so
the
then a
pregnancy
13-year-old gets
continues.
raped. That's not forcing,
Yeah,
quote unquote, right? That's not forcing. That's just like the natural process, right?
yeah.
That's disgusting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I think you're good. How you doing today?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. And you?
Doing all right. Thank you for asking, and thank you for being flexible. We were supposed to have this conversation yesterday, so thanks for switching to today on a dime. I appreciate that. Um, so we were
Yes, no problem.
cool. We were talking on Twitter about because I had my recent Matt Walsh appearance, and we started talking about like abortion or something. So I guess the best way to get this conversation started is I'll go ahead and tell you my opinion on abortion, which is that I think that should be legal in all circumstances, no matter what. Um, and that's just my stance. I think that it should be legal lawfully. I also think that there should be like ethical boards in hospitals and stuff that kind of decide when abortions are unethical. Like if some lady is obviously coming in for like her sixth or seventh abortion at 8 months, then yeah, of course, like that's, but that doesn't really happen that often. But let's say that it did. That's kind of my stance
Yeah.
on that, if that makes sense. So, you want to go ahead and give your stance
Okay,
real
yeah.
quick, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Yeah, so my stance on abortion is almost the opposite. I believe that because each fetus is a human life, and because it's always wrong to take an innocent human life, it should be not allowed in any circumstance.
Okay, what if the mother's life is at risk? What do you think of that?
Um, well, I believe that if it is like if the doctor has ascertained that the life of the mother is definitely at risk due to the pregnancy, you cannot still intentionally kill the fetus, but if you have some treatment which will kill the fetus but save the life of the mother, that is acceptable. But you cannot still intentionally kill the fetus.
So hold on, I think you're conflicting. Either I'm mishearing you or you're conflicting
Mm.
your statement because you said that it's not acceptable. So it's not acceptable to kill the fetus, but if there is some treatment that will save the mother and then kill the fetus, that's fine. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, yeah. So if I could just clarify,
Yeah.
so like the people give the example of if a mother has cancer of the uterus,
Mm-hmm.
that's basically incompatible with the life of the fetus.
Mm-hmm.
So like you wouldn't have to kill the fetus in order to save the mother, but you could remove the uterus if it's cancerous. But that would kill the fetus, but you're not killing the fetus for the purpose of killing the fetus. You have the effect of saving the life of the mother, and which will unfortunately kill the fetus as well. You know what I mean?
I guess, but there are instances other than uterine cancer where you can actually like.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess. I mean, that would still kill the fetus. So like, I feel like that's still not stacking up to what you believe.
Yeah. So it's a matter of intention, I suppose.
Right. Sure.
Like that. You know, people give the example of the like the trolley problem. There's a difference between unfortunately allowing the one person on the track to die and pushing someone onto a track. You're intentionally killing someone in order to save lives. You can say that you think that's justified, but since you're intentionally killing someone, I would say that's not justified.
But you're intentionally killing the
Um,
fetus by removing the uterus in that circumstance. Like that is intentional. You know that's going to happen regardless of
um,
like whether that's the
yeah.
primary purpose or not.
Yeah, so yeah, I realize like it's seems like it's a distinction without a difference because it still ends up with the fetus dying, but
Right.
um
Well, and
yeah,
it's
it's
not
just
even it's not
I
even
think
just
it's just
that
like
it's not even just that you end up with the fetus dying. It's that you know for a fact that if you remove the uterus, that's going to happen. So that is an intentional killing of the fetus.
Yeah, but if a doctor has ascertained that it's threatening to the life of the mother, then the fetus isn't going to survive anyway.
Then you would have to
But
intentionally kill the
this is
fetus.
obviously a very rare situation.
Well, it's common enough.
Well, I mean, you would.
I mean, half of all fertilized eggs don't even make it to implantation. They just are excreted through, or not. Yeah, I guess it'd be excreted in the woman's next period. So, like, I'm not trying to say that as a gotcha. I'm just trying to explain to you that, like, while it is rarer than not, it's still common enough that it needs to be accounted for. It's not a very stable
Fertilized
process.
Eggs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but that is not something that's intentional will happen. If it's just a natural process that a fertilized egg, doesn't become
Right,
implanted,
right.
it doesn't become like an actual pregnancy.
Right.
That's no one's fault, really, is it? Yeah.
No, I'm not arguing that, of course. What my only point in bringing that up was this is a very unstable process, and it actually does happen more. Like when you say like it's very rare, I feel like that's downplaying how often it happens, because people, like pregnant women, have complications with pregnancy all the time, from birth defects all the way up to like the what is it called when it gets implanted into the fallopian tubes, an ectopic pregnancy. Like there's all kinds of issues.
Yeah.
So like it's not
Yes.
uncommon enough that it's like once or twice a year. This is happening a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I don't mean to discount the frequency of it. I'm just I think like circumstances where um it's I think there's some judgment that a doctor can make. Is it definitely going to result in serious complications to the life of the mother? Yeah.
And then it's okay to kill the fetus.
Well, so yeah, that it's not okay to kill the fetus. I think it would be wrong to say that.
I feel okay.
You
Hold
should,
on
like,
1
perform an
second. I feel like we're
abortion.
really dancing around this killing the fetus thing, because if the mom's life or health or long-term health is in danger, you're saying it's okay to abort the fetus, right?
Well, no, sorry, I should clarify. I mean, I'm saying it's not like okay to perform an abortion. I believe that it's okay to to give a treatment which is intentionally to save the life of the mother. If
Which
it
would result
will
in abortion.
if it unintentionally result in the death of the fetus, or threaten the life of the fetus. If that is the only way that you can save the life of the mother, then that is
But
acceptable.
if you know that it's going to kill the fetus, that is an intentional killing of the fetus. There's no way around that. Right?
Well, I mean, it's not well, I mean, I think I'd like to bring up the thing of of the trolley problem again. I mean, it's like you don't want the other person on the track to be run over. That's not your intention. But but it's like a difference between killing someone in order to save lives as opposed to allowing someone to die.
I mean, not really. Like, if you're allowing somebody to die, like if you take somebody off of a feeding tube, that is essentially killing them. I'm not saying that, that person wanted to be on a feeding tube, or that it's immoral. This is not a moral judgment. This is just a reality of what is happening. You kill somebody by taking them off a feeding tube. That is removing their life force. But if that's what they wanted to happen, if they don't want to live life off on a feeding tube, that's completely fine. That's not immoral. So this isn't a moral judgment. This is just a statement of something that happens as a result of action. So if the mom's life needs to be saved, then you need to kill the fetus sometimes. And that's intentional killing. And I need to know if that's something that you agree with or not.
Well, I mean, so I think essentially I would just a characterization of it being an intentional killing, because that is should never be the
But the
intention
end
of
result
the
still is
doctor.
that the fetus dies.
Yes, yeah, I do
So you can
realize
call
that,
it
but
right.
yeah.
Then you're saying that you are fine with the fetus dying if the mom's life needs to be saved. Are you correct with that? Or is that correct?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm fine with it. I'm saying that it's if that's the if it's to save the life of the mother, it's obviously if the mother's going to die, then the fetus is obviously going to die as well. So
Yes. So then kill the fetus and save the
yes.
life of the mother.
Well, so I would not say kill the fetus.
I know
would
you
say,
wouldn't say kill the fetus, but that's what's happening, yes?
So the
The fetus dies.
is dying as a result. Yes, the fetus
Yes.
dies.
So you're fine with it then? Tragically,
well, I wouldn't say
apprehensively,
fine with
whatever.
it. Yeah,
But yes. But yes,
Yeah.
so that is an exception that you are allowing for abortion.
Well, I wouldn't call it an abortion. I would say it's a.
But
it's a
okay, I
treatment
don't
that
care
will
what you would
result
call it.
in
That is what it's
the death of
called.
the
That's the
fetus.
definition of abortion, my dude.
Well, I mean, I would not. I would not say that you should, perform the sort of things that would typically be called abortion. So, like, you should not, like, dismember the fetus and
What do you mean
remove it.
typically called? It's either an
from the-
abortion or it's not. Okay, so let me explain something to you. So medically speaking, we call a miscarriage is technically an abortion. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anytime the fetus dies and is expelled, or the embryo or zygote or whatever it is at that point, that is an abortion. Even the ones that I mentioned where it's 50-50 and hasn't been implanted yet, if that's expelled, even if nobody knows about it, it's still an abortion. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, it still makes a sound. You know what I mean? Like, that's an abortion, period, end of story. So that being the case, I need to know, are you fine with abortions in the case of the mom's life being in danger?
I mean, yes, I can see where you're you're using the word abortion to mean that, and I agree with that.
That is the
Perhaps I
medical
should say,
definition, yes.
Intentional. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
I would say perhaps I am not okay with medical terminations. Intentionally ending the life of the fetus. I don't think that should be the purpose of any treatment. The purpose should never be to end the life of the fetus. If that is an unintentional result of something that will save the life of the mother, that is morally acceptable.
Okay, but you're framing this very awkwardly because the intention is there if you know that the fetus is going to die. If you tell if you have a patient that the doctor says, if we do not abort the fetus, the mom's life is going to be at risk, whether that be because the fetus is implanted wrong or there's some kind of abnormality with the mom's body that they just found out about. That means we need to terminate the life of the fetus. That's called an abortion. So we can play these word games if you want, but I feel like you're just dancing around what you actually mean.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know like all the ins and outs of how a morally acceptable treatment would be performed that would end the life of the fetus without being like. So I mean, like, I'm saying like I don't take a pill that would cause an abortion. Don't dismember the fetus from the inside. So like don't intentionally kill the fetus. I mean, I think we understand each other's positions, don't we?
No, I don't. I don't know if you make exceptions for the mom's life being in danger or not. You have not made that clear.
I believe that if the mother's life is in danger, then that would obviously, if the mother dies and the fetus would die as well. I don't believe that the fetus should be intentionally killed, but if a treatment is necessary to save the life of the mother...
Stop. I need you to stop with that intentional killing of the fetus bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm sorry, it's bullshit. You are bullshitting me. Because you need to tell me, right now, you need to take a stance. If the mom's life is in danger, and the only option is an abortion, should we perform it? Yes or no?
You should not perform an abortion. You should perform...
Okay, so then both of them die. That's your stance, yes?
No, I'm saying that
okay,
you should not
then what is your stance? So
then
we should perform the abortion, yes?
You should do whatever you can to save the life of the mother.
The abortion, yes,
the
abortion
as well.
You're saying yes to the abortion.
I'm not saying yes to the abortion.
Okay, then you're saying yes to the mom and the fetus dying, yes?
No.
Okay, then you're not answering the question.
I don't believe that there are any circumstances in which the mother's life, requires an intentional
Then you're
killing of the
medically
of the.
inept, and you should keep your opinions out of this topic.
So what sort of situations would result in the? I mean, like, what sort of situations necessitate the abortion?
Ectopic pregnancy,
Yeah. So and that
just
sort
for
of
just as an
circumstance.
example,
Hmm.
hemorrhage,
Well, I
uterine
was
cancer, all kinds of things.
yeah, yeah. So like for instance, like uterine cancer, that you could do anything you can to remove the cancer if that's necessary. Um,
By aborting the
if it's
fetus,
an ectopic,
if you're removing the uterus, you're removing the fetus by default. You have to do that.
yes, that's right.
Yes,
And
that's an abortion.
that's the only option. And yes,
That,
yeah,
and so
it will
that is
result in the death of the
classified.
baby. I
So
realize.
you are saying that yes, you agree with abortions in some circumstances. Yes, you can call it whatever you want, but medically, you are agreeing with the idea that abortions are necessary in some circumstances.
Yeah, but yes, I realized, yeah, that I believe there are some circumstances where you can take medical actions that will
Yes,
result in the
called
death of
an
the baby.
abortion. You are just scared of the word abortion. Just say it. Just say the word abortion. It's not scary. I promise. You will live.
I mean, I think I've made my position clear.
Yeah, I don't think you have, because I'm trying to get you to say that an abortion is fine, and you're tiptoeing around the abortion word. Like it's like a taboo for you almost. Like, just say that you're fine with abortion.
Okay,
Just say it. That's the normal position anyway.
I believe that if there's an unintentional abortion that is necessary,
There's no
believe that
unintentional
is
abortion. It's either you either perform it or you. I mean, there is. Okay, never mind. I take that back. There is, but that's called a miscarriage. When we talk about abortion in the common vernacular, we're talking about intentional medical abortion procedures. That's what we're talking about. So in that sense, there's no unintentional abortion. If you perform an action to get rid of the fetus because the fetus is harming the life of the mother, that is an intentional abortion, whether you like it or not. So you are saying that you are fine with intentional abortions in this case, yes?
Um, I I think this is kind of like a matter of semantics here, really.
I would say so at this point, but the semantics are kind of in my favor
Yeah.
because I'm using medically accurate terminology.
Yeah. So I mean, I realized that abortion doesn't not there can be spontaneous abortions which cause miscarriages. I mean, I would not be in favor of any medical
Okay,
terminations.
let me help you out. What if we called it a
Yeah.
medical fetal removal? A necessary medical fetal removal.
Yeah,
That's fine?
if that's medically necessary. Yeah, yeah.
A medically necessary fetal removal. So you are in favor of that.
If it's necessary, yes.
Okay, medically necessary fetal removal. So that's called an abortion. So you are in favor of abortions when they are necessary to save the life of the mother. So that being the case, let's move on to the next part of this discussion. When you outlaw abortion, when you put a blanket ban on abortions, what you are doing is you are basically telling doctors, if you perform an abortion, we are going to investigate you to ensure that the abortion was actually necessary. What do you think this is going to do to doctors who are posed with this problem?
I mean, I realize that there'll be some situations where a doctor may be too scared to make the right
Yes.
decision. I mean, losing their license, being put in prison, fined, whatever.
Yes. Do you see the problem?
And I mean, I think that's, yeah. I mean, I realize that there's won't be never like 100% certainty in all these situations. Yeah.
It's called the chilling effect. And that's the point.
The chilling effect.
Yes, the chilling effect. This is when we impose regulations that, while they are not specific in their language enough to directly incriminate somebody, it's enough to keep somebody from doing something because of the uncertainty. So even if you have let's say that there's a heartbeat bill, right? There was one in Ohio. I don't know if it's active right now. I think it was blocked. But let's say there's a heartbeat bill. So once the heartbeat starts, you are not allowed to get an abortion unless there's a conflict with the mother's life that could put her life or long-term health in risk, right? So now, instead of just being able to say as the doctor at his own discretion or her own discretion that this abortion, we can go ahead and proceed with this abortion because I've deemed it like, I've considered all the factors and I've deemed it necessary, fine, whatever. Now there's a bunch of there's a bunch of legal work to go through to say, okay, well, now I have to go through the government, and the government has to approve on this. They have to be the ones to basically medically check this off when they have no training. So is that something that you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if it's going to save the lives of the unborn, then like I don't know that you can get away from these sorts of situations. I mean, I think that we can look at improving the laws and preventing these sort of things happening. But I think situations where you need to save the life of the mother are. I mean, I don't know how rare they are.
How would you write the legislation?
Well, abortion should, never be allowed unless it is to save the life of the mother, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now the conflict that I mentioned comes into play, where you have a chilling effect where doctors aren't performing abortions even when it's medically necessary, because not all doctors agree when an abortion is medically necessary, especially old Christian doctors. They tend to say, oh, well, it's not necessary, don't worry about it. Your chances of dying are only 10%. You'll be fine. Whereas another doctor would say, well, a 10% chance of dying is pretty freaking high. Why don't we do the abortion? So now if you have like a Christian legislator in your state, or a far-right legislator, they can just come in and say, hey, you performed this abortion that our doctor that we sent out did not sign off on. So now we're arresting you. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's why when we say full-on abortion rights, we want to let doctors decide these things. We don't want government bureaucrats deciding this.
Yeah, I mean, but like, so any sort of law that is around like medical procedures, I mean, there's have to be some sort of law against. I mean, I know that it's requires a doctor's judgment, but there has to be some regulation of medical procedures as well.
You're right. There are laws. If a doctor decides to perform a surgery and there's complications, you can sue that doctor. If a doctor let's put it this way: if a doctor performs an abortion, and the person who got the abortion decides, well, I was not informed enough on my decision and I regret the procedure, they can sue. And they would be within their legal right and moral right to sue, because the doctor should have given them more information. But that's not a problem with abortion. That's a problem with the doctor not abiding by his moral code of ethics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's something that we can really get away from. Misjudgments in the medical profession. I think iatrogenic illnesses are a very high leading cause of death.
But do you understand the problem with the way that you would write the legislation? Do you understand the issue?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be all sunshine and roses if abortion is completely outlawed, and not that I imagine that happening.
Well, it could if conservatives get their way, and that's what I don't want. And from what I'm hearing, even though you don't want to completely say it openly, it sounds like you understand the need for exceptions to these laws, and it's the exceptions that we get bogged down on, because those are the ones that matter. And if you can't get an abortion even when you need one, that's a huge problem. It puts mothers' lives at risk. That's what abortion bans do, even when they have exceptions.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that it is a very, very fraught situation. I don't really.
It's a deadly situation.
I realize it will play out. Yeah, but I mean, the situation now is that abortion is technically the number one cause of death worldwide. There's millions of abortions.
No. You're getting off topic.
Year.
Do you want abortions for women who need them or not, to save their lives?
To save their lives in very rare circumstances.
No, stop qualifying. Yes or no? Stop qualifying.
I mean, I think I've made my position clear on this. Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, so don't change the topic. I don't care about whether you believe it's a human being or not. That's not the discussion. Discussion we're having is that you believe that abortions are necessary sometimes and therefore they should not be outlawed. Okay, so that has you beating Matt Walsh, by the way, because he believes that there should be no exceptions, zero, none at all. So that puts you ahead of Matt Walsh, just so you know.
I'm not sure about that, actually. I mean, because I don't think he really...
No, an outright abortion ban is the far right position.
That, did he?
Hmm?
Well, so, like, I don't think we can come to sort of, like, an agreement on the terminology here, because
I'm using the correct terminology and you're dancing around it. I'm sorry, you're being kind of a pussy. You're being a little bit of a pussy. You're dancing around the terminology. Yeah, okay. You don't want to call it an abortion. You don't want to call it this or that. But yeah, it's still allowed. But it's not allowed. But then it is allowed. You're not consistent.
I mean, I think I'm being consistent. So
no,
like,
you're not.
I mean, if you said, well, if you're saying, you know, I need to remove a section of the fallopian tube that will, you know, where the ectopic pregnancy is,
and therefore the fetus.
I mean, yes, it's like that.
Just call it an abortion, man. Just use your balls. Like, come on.
But like that's not what like the intention of the procedure is, really, you know.
It's still an abortion. If it's and by the way, if it is in the fallopian tube, that is the literal purpose of the procedure. It's called an ectopic pregnancy. That is the explicit purpose of the procedure in an ectopic pregnancy is to remove the fetus. So, are you in favor of that or not?
If it look, man, I've answered this question so many times.
So yes, you are, because that's what I've heard, is that you are in favor of that, but you just don't want to call that an abortion, even though it is. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose you could call it an abortion because
okay.
You know, it is resulting in the death of the fetus. But I mean, I just want to say it's a matter of intention. It's like the guy on the bridge. You push a guy off a bridge. You're intending to kill him. That's morally wrong. If you trying to save someone's life and someone dies as a result, that's not your intention. That's the difference.
Okay, I don't know if this is gonna go anywhere. I
realize that look, the result is the same. I realize that.
Yes.
It's about intention. So
the intention explicitly is to remove the fetus and kill it. That's the intention in an ectopic pregnancy. There's no way around that.
The intention is to save the life of the mother.
Okay, let me ask you this.
The intention is to save...
Hold on. If somebody breaks into my house, right? Somebody breaks into my house, and I shoot them with a gun, okay? And they die. My intention may not have been to kill them, but I did kill them, yes? That was still a killing.
Yes.
Okay. So I can call that, yes, I killed that guy. Why did I kill that guy? Justifiably. Because it was within my right to do so. So if that's the terminology you want to go with, that's fine. But that is still an abortion. By definition.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, so then now that we have that out of the way, do you understand why abortion cannot be completely illegal?
Well, I see what you're getting at, but you said that you do not want it to be you think it should be allowed in like almost any circumstance.
Yes, I want no exceptions. I want no exceptions because I understand that people will get abortions out of convenience or whatever you want to call it. I understand that happens, but that trade-off is worth it to me for saving the lives of mothers who need it. Because the alternative is, if you try to put in exceptions, it's a chilling effect. It will cause doctors to not want to give abortions even when they are medically necessary because they don't want to put their license and their whole livelihood at risk. Would you do that? I mean, honestly, I can't blame them. That's a very difficult situation that we are putting our medical professionals in. I don't know why this country hates medical professionals so much that they would put them in that situation. And frankly, I think it's gross. So that's why I want no exceptions on the law. No exception, or sorry, a law fully allowing it, regardless. Period. End of story.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of pro-lifers would say that that your position would result in the death of hundreds of thousands of unborn babies.
They can think
So
that if
that's
they
why they're
want.
against it.
I'm
And
sorry.
like
I value living mothers more than I value
yeah,
their
yeah,
fetuses. That's me.
yeah,
I don't want mothers to die.
yeah. I am not surprised by that position. Like the pro-lifers believe that every human life intrinsically has worth. I understand that you distinguish between born life and unborn life. I'm not surprised that we differ on that score.
Okay. I just value living mothers more than I do fetuses.
Yeah, I mean, I yeah, I realize that.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I just say, like, when you brought up to Matt Walsh, you said, would
Sure.
you force a 12-year-old rape, to carry it to first to term? Like I noticed that he, like, straight away said, the rapist, should be killed. It's not the rapist should be punished and all that. Um, I think what he was doing there was just trying to say that it's a separate issue from the life of
He was
the
avoiding my
fetus and
question. That had nothing to do with the question.
crime. Yeah, I think a lot of people just like reflexively want to condemn the rapist and just sort of separate it from the issue of abortion.
Okay, well then he should choose his words better. He's a public figure. He can figure it out. He's a big boy.
Yeah, actually, I've been watching other like abortion debates, and I've noticed that a lot of people do that as well. Like Lila Rose, the head of some like life action organization. Yeah, she has the same sort of stance. So I think that's pretty common position people say.
Sorry, say that.
Anyway, was there anything else you wanted
Sorry,
to bring up about this?
It's what's a
issue,
common
or-
position? I didn't know you were done with your statement. What's a common position?
Oh no, so I was just saying that when people talk about the issue of rape, I think they just want to separate like the crime of rape from the issue of whether the baby should be killed because of rape.
They are
I
very
think it's
closely
like something that
intertwined.
people-
That's not something you can get away from. I mean, if somebody gets raped and
I
they
mean, like,
and as a result they want an abortion, I believe that they should be allowed to have one.
But yeah, so I think what people are trying to get at is that the abortion does not do anything about the rape. I mean, it does not it does not
I didn't
unrape that
ask
girl
about the
or
rapist.
that woman.
It's a diversion tactic. I don't have to feed into
So,
that.
the abortion does not unrape the woman, is what I said.
That's not the point, man. If a woman wants an abortion after she's raped, she should be allowed to have one. Period. End of story.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that's your position, but people who are pro-life believe
I don't
that
care
the
if it
intrinsic value of
undoes
the
it.
fetus-
Okay, so it doesn't fix the rapist. Okay, that there's a separate process for that. It's called indicting somebody for that. We deal with that separately. Yeah, I know. I know that abortions do not open up a time portal. I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm saying that that's like that's why that people try to separate it, It's like it's not going to turn back time.
I don't care
before
why
the-
they do
before
it.
the-
It's still stupid. That's not the point. That's not the point of the discussion.
Yeah, so I think that's what I'm trying to say as well. Like it's not a point. Like it doesn't matter how they come pregnant. Like is it wrong or is it not wrong to kill a unique human life?
I just think abortion should be allowed because morally speaking, I hold the life of the mother in a higher regard than I do the life of the fetus. I think that pregnancy is a biological process through which a human being is formed, but it's not a human being all throughout. And just from a utilitarian standpoint, if we were to consider it a human being, that opens up the door to all kinds of problems with how we hold the life of the mother in regard. So that's why I say blanket abortion allowance. No, period, end of story. Just allow it. Let the doctors make those ethical decisions. They are trained to make those ethical decisions, and there should not be government coming in and saying why or why not we should be allowed to get an abortion.
So like if a baby is 30 weeks and technically like deliverable, I mean, does babies survive at 30 weeks?
No doctor worth
Like
their shit is
do you
going to
see like
no doctor. Okay, so what you're describing to me is a woman who's like 30 weeks and she goes into the doctor. She's like, I just get abortions for fun, dude. So I'm gonna need you to get this thing out of the oven a little bit early, right? And kill it, by the way, with a mallet while you're at it. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. Okay, the doctor's not going to do that. If a fetus at 30 weeks needs to be removed, the doctor's going to try to save it. If they can't save it without serious injury or death to the mother, then they're just they can't. Then they can't. But there's not doctors sitting here salivating at the mouth, going after fetuses who are 30 weeks, and then bonking them over the head with a hammer, the little hammer used for their knees. They don't do that, and that's the false narrative that's being pushed by conservatives.
yeah. I mean, like I'm not trying to say that like that is something that happens. I'm just trying to say like you say it should be like potentially
Okay,
allowed. Like,
if that's
would you
not
say
something that happens, then paint me a scenario that might happen that you don't want to happen.
Keep
I
up
mean,
the
like,
good
I don't want
work.
any abortion to happen, but I'm just saying like I'm just trying to say like
No.
where you
What
would
I'm
draw the
saying
line.
is, okay, I understand that, but give me an example. Give me an example where I could reasonably say, okay, that abortion shouldn't happen.
So like if a baby was technically viable outside the womb, and it could potentially survive in like a neonatal care unit, but the mother doesn't want the baby, so like the doctor would be obligated to allow the baby to die, even though they could technically save it. It's just about the intention of the mother. The mother wants the baby to die, so the baby will die.
No, it's
Or
not about the
baby,
mom
or
wanting the
the
baby to
mother
die. It's about the mom wanting the fetus out of her body. That should be allowed at all points.
But like the mother might not want her baby to be out there in the world. She doesn't want it. She might just say like, "This is my
okay,
this is my body."
you're framing this
I
all
want baby to-
incorrectly. By the time that a fetus is viable, if a mom says, "Yeah, go ahead and abort this thing," the doctor's not going to. Like I said, the doctor is not going to bonk it. They are going to try to save it. If there's no complication, if there is something that you can do
but
to
the
get the
mother doesn't
baby
want it,
out
though.
and keep it
The mo-
alive, this is an entirely nonsense scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to come up with an example. I'm just saying like if a mother decides she doesn't want the baby, does it like why does it matter like at what point in the pregnancy she decides that?
She can give it up for adoption at that point. The point is
Yeah, but
we need we need
could,
the
but-
baby. Okay, but we're not going to take the baby out and then kill it. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say like the baby could potentially be taken out and live, but you're saying that like
Yes.
you would still allow that baby to be killed. Like
No, you're not listening to me. That's not an abortion at that point. That's just an induced labor.
But no, okay, right. A mother, 30 weeks pregnant, goes and says, "I want this baby inside me to be killed." Like,
But
would you allow
but
that?
moms don't say that. They don't do that, man. Come on. What was this scenario? Yeah, please go ahead and kill
well-
this thing.
Okay. Well, perhaps she's been like her mother mental health has been deteriorating throughout the whole pregnancy. Then she's she's had it, or she's, her.
Okay, so she's a
financial
lunatic,
situation
and she says, "I
taken
want you
her
to
for
kill
the
my
worse.
baby." Is that it? She's a lunatic, and she
I'm
says
just trying to say, like-
specifically says,
like-
"Murder this thing." Is this the scenario you're
Well,
painting me?
I'm just like. I'm not trying to say that this happens. I'm just trying to say like, would you condemn that? Would you say that's wrong?
I'd say that's
like,
freaky. I'd
what?
say what's wrong with you, lady? Yeah. And I would say, ethically speaking, the doctor should not then kill this fetus. Okay? Because at that point, that's
Okay,
not
so, like,
killing,
so-
it's extraction, which would be induced labor. They don't go in and scramble the brains of a 35-week-old fetus. They don't do that.
Okay, so at what point? So like, would you say it should be disallowed then? Like, should that be
No,
outlawed?
never. It
That sort
should
of thing.
abortion should be allowed up until and including a birth.
So you're saying that so this ridiculous situation that I've said, like you said that should still be allowed. You're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying legally it should be allowed, yes. Because legally speaking, they don't have the jurisdiction to make that distinction. Doctors do. They're ethically trained for that. If somebody walks into the doctor, they say, hey, my fetus is 35 weeks old and I need it dead. Do you really think the doctor's going to scramble the brains of that fetus?
I don't know what the law is, to be honest.
but
but
you
I'm just trying to
understand
say,
how
like-
ridiculous, like you're trying to paint this picture of like moms just like going crazy and then going into the doctor's office saying, hey, listen,
Like,
my life's work
I don't
has
think
led up
has
to this
happened even
moment
once.
where I need the brains of my baby scrambled.
I mean, like, I'm not saying that this has happened even once. Like, I'm not even saying that this is like,
Okay.
you know, related. Like, I'm just like,
Okay, so my
Yeah,
answer
if
is
the baby-
if it does happen and a lady does say that, what? So there's two answers to this. One, I don't think I don't think that justifies making abortion illegal in any circumstance. I don't think that should be legal or illegal. I just think that abortion itself should be a legal procedure that doctors have the jurisdiction to perform. This is like asking, okay, hey doc, I want a knee replacement, and I want you to put a ball of shit where my knee was. Okay. That doesn't. So just because he says that, I don't. For one, I don't think the doctor should do that because obviously that would kill him. For two, I don't think that knee replacement should be illegal.
yeah. So, like, are there any sort of abortions that you should be outlawed in all circumstances? Like,
No.
would you?
Back alley
So-
abortions.
so-
Back alley abortions done by people who are not medically trained. That's the type.
Yeah. So, like, potentially, any mother with any sort of stage in a pregnancy should be allowed abortion. Like, should be technically legally allowed. And
Yes.
could potentially happen.
Yes.
So,
Because-
like, 39 weeks, 40 weeks.
Yes.
You know, just change your mind at the last minute.
That's not how that works. We've been over this. Come on, man. That's not how that works. That at that point,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
induced labor.
Yeah, but like if I realize like a mother can decide that she doesn't want the baby,
And then
like,
she induces labor and gives it up for adoption because at that point it's viable. But if you have a 39-week-old fetus whose neck gets, sorry to be morbid, but this happens. Their neck gets caught by the umbilical cord and then they're being strangled. And there's no way to save it. I think an abortion should be allowed. You know why? Because I don't want a decaying fetus inside of a woman. That's why I support it all the way up until birth. Because I've studied this shit and I know what can happen if you don't. Yeah, see someone in the chat. It happened to them.
all right. Well, like you're saying, like a 39-week. You said like the mother should just put the baby up for abortion, but why should she
Adoption.
be forced to put the adoption? Yeah, sorry. Why should she be forced to put the baby up for adoption if she doesn't want that?
Because the alternative is
rather
killing
baby.
a baby.
So you're saying it's wrong to kill a baby, or
Yes. Where's the disconnect here, man? If you can induce a birth and not kill the fetus, you should do it.
but like if is it allowed to kill the baby if it's still inside the womb?
Not if it's not necessary.
Well, I mean, I would say it's never. I mean, it's very rarely necessary. I mean, most of the abortions.
Yeah,
are
very
not,
rarely, but sometimes it is. Like for the instance that I gave you. That somebody in my chat literally said they had that happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that there's still room for medical science to improve about saving these lives in these situations.
Yeah, and it's not like doctors. Another thing that I hate, another like thing that people try to say is like doctors are trying to that they want to kill these fetuses. Like there's some kind of conspiracy, and it's just so silly. Like I don't understand where it comes from.
I mean, Planned Parenthood gets a lot of funding, doesn't it?
They get a lot of
I mean,
funding
they
for a lot of
still want
things.
to get their jobs. Yeah, yeah.
Are you saying that healthcare should be
mean,
non-profit? Because I agree.
I mean, I'm actually Australian, so I mean we have universal healthcare.
Okay,
I'm
well,
a
I
big
agree
fan
that
of that.
healthcare should not be profit driven. Okay, so we can just go ahead and drop that discussion right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're doing
Yeah.
this
I mean
for money,
I realize that.
I agree that there should be no profit incentive. Yes.
I mean, yeah, like my issue isn't really about, people's motives. It's just about, the intrinsic human life. I mean, like the intrinsic value of the human life that we're talking about here.
I'm sorry, I just value the mother and her life. So
Mm.
that's why I think that abortion should be legal all the way up until birth, because anything can happen, and that's for the doctors to decide, not for freaking senators to decide.
Yeah. So you've just said that you value the life of the mother above the fetus. That's why
Yes.
you think it should be legal. But if the life of the mother is not in danger at all, which can happen in, like why should abortion be legal if the half of the mother is not in danger at all?
Why? Because the mom has bodily autonomy, and there's a thing stuck to her that she doesn't want to be stuck to her.
Yeah, so it's you value the life of the mother, and as you value her bodily autonomy. So that's
Correct.
that's why you think it should be legal.
Correct.
So like, do you have? Yeah. So yeah, the argument that pro-lifers bring up in that circumstance is that the bodily autonomy does not extend to the life of a different body. It's not acceptable to kill the life of another human being because
It's attached. It's
yeah.
attached to the mom, and the mom does not want it to be attached to her. Therefore, it should no longer be attached. Yes.
Yeah. So but yeah, obviously that's another point where we differ. It's it's basically saying that every human life has value. Like you can't just kill someone because like I mean if there's like someone living out in the woods, they're comatose. You can't just kill them just because you want to. Like even though like no one
It's
even
not
knows
killing just
they
because they want to.
exist.
If that dude were actually like attaching wires to my body and sticking them into his, then yeah, I would. And the only way to get him off of me was to kill him. Then I would kill him. I don't think that's controversial. I just think that's common sense.
Um, yeah. So I suppose you've heard of the violin player
Yes.
scenario. Yeah. So like the issue is that the difference between that is the mother's womb is like for the purpose of bringing out a baby, and I realize that pregnancy
The
pregnancies
mother's
are
womb is
often
for whatever purpose the woman deems it.
um well, what else can she use it for?
Whatever she wants. She can take it out and bottle it if she wants. Hang it up above her chimney. It doesn't matter. It's hers.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's just about the intrinsic value of the human life, and like we believe that once a baby is conceived, once the embryo is formed, then that's a intrinsic human life, and it should not be killed um intentionally.
It's attached to the mom, and the mom doesn't want
And
it to be attached to her. So if that mandates that the fetus is killed, then I think that's fine.
yeah, so I would say that because that does not warrant the killing of an innocent human life. So that's my position. It's killing a human life, so that's not acceptable, even though it's for whatever reason.
I don't think that's justification for making abortion illegal in any circumstance because of the reasons I've listed.
No, I mean I think if I had my way, I think if a lot of pro-lifers had their way, there would be far fewer abortions in the world, and society would change quite a bit.
You know what would make
And I
far
realize that
fewer
that's not
abortions in the
what a lot of
world
people
is.
want.
You know what would make fewer abortions? If you really don't like abortion, I got a list of things for you to do. You ready? Sign up for any initiatives that help
Sex ed.
lower class individuals get sexual education and basic access to resources that would help them not conceive, such as birth control. Start with that. Then you can, make healthcare more accessible to everybody, so that, well, I guess that feeds more into the education thing. But
Yeah.
people are not educated in sex and because they have unprotected sex. So if you really want to stop abortion, the answer is not making it illegal. It's making abortion, it's making sexual health, sexual education and items for sex, such as sex protection, more accessible. That's the answer. And we've seen this.
I mean, interestingly, like last year after Roe versus Wade was repealed, you had a few people, a few women saying, I'm going on a sex strike. I don't think we should, have sex until, Roe versus Wade is put back in.
Okay.
And I think like a lot of pro-lifers were sort of, thought that was kind of funny because they thought, you should, that's what they should do. People should abstain until they're ready to procreate.
Okay.
I think that's the sort of world that we're aiming towards. If abortion was made illegal, people should take responsibility, make better sexual decisions, and yes, have an education about when is the right time to want
What's
to
your
conceive.
priority? Is your priority punishing people who have had sex, or is it reducing abortions?
It's about reducing abortions.
Okay, well then what
don't
I
wanna
just
punish
said is the
anyone.
best way to reduce abortions. You increase access to sex education and you increase access to protection, because that's the best way to do it. Making abortion illegal only makes the problem worse, because what ends up going with abortion 9 times out of 10 is sex education and access to protection. I don't like abortion procedures, just so you know. I don't think that people should get them if they can help it, because it's an invasive surgical procedure and it sucks for all parties involved. And it can cause emotional damage as well as physical. Yeah. It's not great. Okay? I have an ex who got an abortion. Okay? It was a very traumatic process. My goal is to make that process as not traumatic as possible for the whatever situation the mom is in. Okay? Because you don't know her life and you don't deserve to know her life. Whatever happened. And they don't want the baby. And it's not a viable fetus yet, so I just don't give a shit. I can't bring myself to give a shit about it. I just can't, because the alternative there is forcing her through 9 months of hell.
I mean, okay. First of all, I do agree that abortion is a terrible thing, and I would not, I don't think our priority should be to condemn people who have had them. I realize that it's not an easy situation for anyone to be in. But I would take issue with like the framing of saying, you're forcing someone to go through like 9 months of pregnancy. I think that's just what happens when someone becomes pregnant, like they...
Okay, so then a 13-year-old gets raped. That's not forcing, quote unquote, right? That's not forcing. That's just like the natural process, right?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I mean, I realize it's a terrible situation for a 13-year-old to be in.
It's
and I
disgusting that you think that.
I think what?
That you don't think it's forcible.
Well, it's forcible. It's something that's being forced on her by the rapist.
No, it's being forced on. No,
violent.
what was forced on her by the rapist is, yes, it is the fetus, and yes, it is the trauma that comes with being raped. You are correct about that part. What's being forced on her by the state, if they choose to do so, is the pregnancy itself. The rapist is no longer a part of this equation. And I've heard people. I also saw. By the way, I also want to point out to you. I saw people in the fucking comments saying that nature's forcing the girl. That's such a fucking weak, spineless cop out. Disgusting freaks. Disgusting.
Well, I mean, if we lived in a world where you could control Z a pregnancy, then that would be a different story. But that's not how it works. You can't become unpregnant. I mean, you
sure can. You sure as hell can. But I'll give you a great word that'll allow for that. Yeah. No, go on, please.
Yeah, good. Okay. What I meant was you cannot, unconceive a fetus. You can stop being pregnant. Once that you can't turn back time is what I'm saying. And it's just if once a embryo has come into being, you can have miscarriage.
This isn't okay. This isn't about turning back time. Yeah. This is about preventing what will come. Which is 9 months of hell.
Yeah, I'm just saying
for a baby that person never wanted.
I'm just saying that's the natural process, and that's like this.
No, it's not the natural process. You're telling me right now that a 13-year-old getting raped and then having birth is a natural process. That is disgusting, and you are disgusting for thinking that.
Okay, what I'm saying is, anyone
that is what you are saying.
Pregnant, look, I don't know why you're saying that. You know, the fact of pregnancy is me saying
it is not natural for a 13-year-old to get pregnant. Tell me, sit here and tell me to my face that it is completely natural when a 13-year-old gets pregnant. Tell me.
I never said that.
Okay, well then you don't think that it's natural for that 13-year-old to carry a pregnancy.
I mean, like, is it possible? Yes. Like, is it? If it
I don't give a shit if it's possible. It's disgusting.
I agree, it's disgusting.
Okay,
I don't
then
know.
you agree that she should get an abortion.
No, I don't agree with that. Look.
Then you don't. Clearly, you don't think it's that disgusting. Then you can't stand by your points, man. You can't.
No, listen. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm listening.
Can I just say?
Sure.
Okay, look. All right. So I'm just saying that, you know, the rape has happened. That's a terrible thing. A 13-year-old shouldn't be put in that situation.
You're right.
But you know, a natural progression from that pregnancy is that the baby will grow. It'll you know, be born
and potentially kill her.
I mean, potentially, yes.
Yes.
And if it's judged that it will definitely kill her, then
oh, definitely. So what's the percent? What's the percent? Give me a percentage. 20, 30, 45.
I'm not a medical professional.
No, but you clearly have a stance on this. So I want your percentage. 50% chance of living. Is that okay to roll the dice on that? This is your stance, buddy.
I mean, I don't, why, dude? He's baiting.
Like, I don't even know like what percentages doctors go by. Like,
I don't care what doctors go by. This is about your morality. Clearly, you think that it's fine. So what's your acceptable percentage? Grow a sack, man. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Like, I don't know. Like, what's your opinion on, you know, whether someone
this isn't no? I asked you a question. This is the part where I Matt Walsh you. I asked you a question. Give me a percentage.
A percentage.
Give me a percentage. What's an acceptable percentage of this 13-year-old giving birth and having a chance of dying? What's an acceptable percentage? 25, 30, 5%? What dice am I rolling? Am I rolling a 20 and just hoping I don't get a nat 1? What is it? What is this? What is a 13-year-old's life worth to you?
It's invaluable. I mean, I don't know.
It's invaluable. So then in that circumstance, if there's even a little tiny percent chance of her dying, then it's fine to abort the fetus. Is that correct?
Burger King.
No, I don't.
That's not correct. So her life isn't invaluable then. If her life were invaluable, you'd say there's no shot that we should let her go forward with the pregnancy because that is a very high likelihood of killing her.
Every life is invaluable.
Is that 13-year-olds?
Yes.
Okay. So then.
And so is the fetuses.
Okay. Which one do you value more? Do you value her life or do you value the chance of that fetus? Because that's what you're gambling on.
Look, I don't know where I'd like to draw the line on that, but like,
I know you don't because you're spineless. Because you're a spineless coward who cannot stand by your convictions. That's why. So yes, I know you can't draw that line. My line's at birth. Where's yours?
Conception.
Okay, that's fine. Then the 13-year-old is clearly not that valuable to you. And if that's your stance, then that's gross and disgusting, but at least you have one.
I mean, I would encourage any sort of, you know, mental health resources, pregnancy resources, anything that would improve the life of
that's
the 13-year-old,
very cushy.
and I think that's something
that's very cushy. I'm glad you think that way. I think that she should be allowed to get an abortion.
Did you just permanently ban Alec Gunter?
That would kill an innocent human life. I don't know why you would think that's okay.
Because I value that 13-year-old more than I value the chance of the fetus coming to fruition. That's why. I don't want to roll those dice. And I don't want to tell their parents to roll those dice either. Especially as a healthcare provider.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm not a doctor. I don't know, you know, if it's accurate to say.
Stop saying you're not a doctor, man. It's pathetic. It's pathetic at this point. It's pathetic. That's not an excuse.
Well, like, You're the one who's saying that, doctors should have judgment as well. Like, I mean, you were just saying like we should keep, legislators out of it and should just be up. It should be up to the doctor.
Yes, it should. It should be up to the doctor and
Yeah,
the
so
mother.
I mean, I realize. Yeah, so I realize that in terms of knowing what would happen, like there's you're never going to be 100% sure about what would happen. Doctors make mistakes all the
Okay,
time.
so then what's the percent chance that you think is acceptable for a 13-year-old to give birth? You still have not given me an answer to that.
That's because I have no idea.
Okay, I know you don't. I have an answer for you. 0 is acceptable. And there's always a chance of her dying. So I'm going to say that abortion is acceptable for her up to any point. And I feel like that's pretty consistent and pretty solid, and I feel like you have not been as much.
Okay, so like a woman in late term pregnancy, she her doctor tells her that she's has potential pregnancy complications. Should she be allowed to kill the fetus then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean I think that's unacceptable termination of a human life, and I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, you can think that. I think it's gross to force a 13-year-old girl into a pregnancy she doesn't want.
Yeah, so I again take issue with your framing there.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's framed perfectly. Anything else you want to add?
I know. I mean, I just want to get the main points of like the pro-life argument there. It's just people believe that it's a human life that's intrinsically valued. Like it's always wrong to kill an innocent human life. Abortion is the intentional killing of a human life, and that's why people believe it's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that there's a lot of issues that would crop up if abortion was completely outlawed, and I realize that you're never going to have a situation where you can prevent all complications. But I think that's something that's worth looking at to save the lives of the unborn.
Okay. Anything else, man?
Yeah. What else would you have asked Matt Walsh if you had more time?
I would have asked if he would have let his 13-year-old go through that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that he would, do what he can to support her, but I think he would still be against.
Except get her an abortion.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think he'd want his grandchild to die.
I wouldn't want my child to die, but that's just me.
I don't think he would
I also
either.
wouldn't want her to suffer, and by the way. I don't think that's a good thing to put a 13-year-old through. But that's just me, once again.
Yeah, yes, the rape of a 13-year-old child is a terrible thing. I agree. Yes.
Yes, we all agree that rape is bad. Thank you. What a good take, man. Very brave.
Well, I'm just trying to say that it's not the people preventing the abortion that are forcing the pregnancy. It's just what happened. It's
Yeah,
a
just
natural
it just
thing.
happened. It just happened. Yeah, might as well let it roll on and just roll the dice on that girl's life. That's fine. Right? That's what you're saying. That is what you're telling me. That you are fine rolling those dice. Would you be fine rolling those dice if it were your daughter? Since Matt Walsh ain't here, so what if it were your daughter? You got kids?
I would not. No, I don't have kids.
Okay. So what if you did have kids? What if it were your daughter?
I would not want my daughter's child to die. I would not roll those dice.
So you would force your daughter through a pregnancy?
I would
Just say yes.
counsel her
Just say yes,
against
because that's
getting
your
an
yes.
abortion.
That just say yes, because that's your response. That's what you're telling me. You can pussy
could not
out and
force
say if
her.
it's the rapist that forced her through it. You can pussy out and say that, but there's a way to stop it.
That there's a way to kill the baby. Yes. And
Go ahead.
that would
Go
prevent
ahead.
the
No.
pregnancy- that would stop the
Go ahead.
pregnancy.
I'll give you the pussy's way out. Ready? Go ahead and tell me the rapist is forcing the pregnancy. Go ahead and tell me that.
The rapist's actions caused a pregnancy. Yes.
There you go.
obviously-
The pussy's way out. Good job. Anything else?
I don't know. I don't know why you keep taking issue
You're
with my
taking the
language. I mean,
pussy's way
like,
out, man. There's a way to stop the pregnancy and stop her suffering.
Yes, that's by killing the baby. Yes, and I.
If that's
think
what you want to
wrong.
call it, sure. But I'm not forcing a 13-year-old through that. Not going to do it.
Well, I hope that none of us get in that situation then.
I also hope that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not really. I mean,
All right.
I mean, I wish we had gone better with this, but did
Don't
my
we all?
best.
It's all right, man. You have a good weekend.
All right. Yeah, you too.
Spineless. They cannot stick their chest out and just say it, ever. Disgusting, man. It's sad. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. You can join my channel membership at youtube.com/AlecGunther/TTV/join for only 99 cents a month. That's less than the price of a blowjob from your mom. You can be part of the channel membership program and you will get early access content as well as a sweet badge next to your name and exclusive emojis in the comments that nobody else gets. Thank you again, and I will see you all in the next video.